Hello, and welcome to Lawless Conversations with Katie. I'm Katie, your host. This podcast goes through various difficult subjects such as abortion, gun control, prison systems, or gender, to name a few, and dives into all different aspects of the arguments that might be offered or discussed. At the moment, we are wading our way through the subject of abortion, and today we will actually be discussing abortion. Although I have spent a lot of time and effort into researching these topics, I am by no means an expert on this subject or any other subject I will explore in the future. So take my thoughts with a grain of salt, and of course, if you have any questions or things to add, please share them. I try my best to keep my own biases out of these explorations, and because I am talking about many aspects of a subject, including opposing ideas and arguments, know that these are not necessarily ideas that I subscribe to or hold personally. I will, however, explore different arguments as if I do believe in them in order to truly explore all facets of this subject. Finally, because these are difficult subjects, there will be some content that is hard to hear and might be triggering. Please understand I am not looking to insult anyone, but to explore these subjects openly and honestly. I don't want to convince anyone to think like me. I want to convince people to think, period. So without further ado, come have a lawless conversation with me. Abortion is the process by which an embryo or fetus is terminated and removed from the uterus. There are various methods that are utilized in this procedure. Medical abortions and surgical abortions, which dissect into vacuum aspiration and dilation and evacuation, or D&E. A medical abortion is what is often referred to as the abortion pill. It is a 2-pill process where one takes, and I'm going to say both of these wrong, misoprostol and misoprostol. These medications stop the pregnancy from continuing to develop and cause the uterus to empty itself. This option can be self-administered, but can cause issues if the uterus is not able to expel everything. This is why women have to come back and do a checkup even after administering this option, just to make sure everything went through properly. The surgical options for abortion are much more involved. The vacuum aspiration is just what it sounds like, the embryo or fetus, and any lining is suctioned out of the uterus. Lastly, dilation and evacuation is what is often used later in pregnancy, where the cervix is dilated and the contents of the uterus are removed with a surgical scoop. These procedures are not pleasant. Despite what might be said at a clinic, there is going to be physical pain involved. Especially in later-term abortions, the fetus's head will be crushed before removing it and the sac from the woman. I'm not sure what all is told to women in that moment or in the appointments leading up to the procedure. However, being fully informed as to what each procedure does to the embryo or fetus as well as one's body is important. If one is not informed, that offers a reason for people to claim that women cannot be trusted or considered capable of making such a decision. The only way to combat these claims is to create an environment of complete transparency and knowledge. What I mean by this is that even in sex education in schools, abortion should be discussed. The only way for women and men to be informed is to do just that, inform them. When elements of a subject as broad as abortion are kept hidden or ignored, it leaves room for ignorance, which is one thing that should never be put into the same category as abortion. I will explore this concept in more detail in a later episode. Abortion is where battle lines are drawn and often result in shouting matches where neither party is listening to the other. The biggest concern with abortion is people disagree about when life begins. Heartbeats, brainwaves, and conception are 3 of the main arguments made during this discussion. The problem with heartbeats and brainwaves is that they develop at 6 and 9 weeks, respectively, which is quite early in pregnancy. If laws are made that limit abortion to 6 or 9 weeks, when women are faced with this choice, they have to not only catch the pregnancy before that point, but also make a decision quickly. And a decision this big should never be rushed, no matter what context it comes up in, be it voluntarily aborting a fetus because of personal reasons or because of life or death situations. Often it will take 4 to 5 weeks, sometimes longer, for a woman to miss her period and subsequently suspect that she might be pregnant. By this example, if a woman finds out at 5 weeks that she is pregnant, she then has 1 to 4 weeks to determine if she will keep it or not and get the procedure done. Because at that point there is a potential for life, or in some views, life already created, making the choice to end that potential should not be rushed. This disagreement about where the line of life is makes the discussion of laws against abortion very hard to create. There was a time in the past where the concept of quickening was accepted. This method says that when a woman feels the fetus move in her uterus, it has entered life in a way that now firmly places it within the bounds of protection. Quickening would often happen around 13 weeks. This method of determining life sets the decision of life in the hands of the mother. When compared with giving this decision to the government, the idea of quickening can be a desirable one that could put many people on common ground. This week's questions on abortion are: what is your first reaction when someone says they have had an abortion or are considering having an abortion? If you had to consider that decision, how do you think you would feel while making that decision? If you are interested in commenting about this episode or answering any of the questions I just asked, you are welcome to. You can either send me an email at lawlessconversations@yahoo.com. That is LAWLESSCONVERSATIONS@yahoo.com. You can also comment on Twitter at lawlessconvos, LAWLESSCONVOS. Finally, you can also contact me on Facebook if you just look for Lawless Conversations, 2 different words, LAWLESSCONVERSATIONS. I look forward to hearing from you. The references to any sources that I use in each episode will be available in the bio, along with all of these social media connections. Join me on Sunday as I talk to someone who has actually gone through the process of an abortion. Thank you for joining me for this episode.